It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. So Mark Thompson's here. You know, during the break, it's like, you know, you're a celebrity and you have celebrity friends, and you always call your celebrity friends. I like listening to them.
Well, I'll tell you, I got the call from former anchorman John Beard.
I love John
that's
Beard.
What you're talking about, yeah. He called, and you were here in the studio, and I thought, we're in a commercial break. Why not just put him on the speaker? And he was delighted to talk to you. You were very, both of you were like super glib and funny.
He's like a really old-fashioned, not old-fashioned, but a really hard-nosed, no-nonsense reporter. When he goes out to get a story, he leaves no stone unturned.
Yeah,
I mean, when he was a reporter, before he was an anchor.
Yeah, he did really good work, and of course he was anchor on Channel 4, which is close to where we're sitting right now, right across the way, and then on Channel 11, Fox 11. But I've known John Beard since he was an anchor in Buffalo, New York.
Wow,
Fritz Coleman, John Beard, and myself were all in Buffalo at the same time, and we remain like close friends to this day. I had lunch with Fritz right before I came over here.
Are you still a Bills fan?
I am.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. In fact, Fritz married a Buffalo Bills cheerleader.
Wow.
And John went out with a Buffalo Bill, the Jills. They were called the Buffalo Jills at that time. And so, yeah, they were those guys went to games, but I never went to a game.
That must have been in Buffalo, you've got to be on your toes with the weather.
Yeah.
I mean, you've got a lot. The lake effect isn't it lake effect?
Big. Yeah, I would, if you could say there'll be 2 inches of snow overnight and there could be 22 inches by morning. You had to really watch it. Yeah, you're right. A little wind shift could really cost it.
Yeah, and thank God that those fans who are, I think, amongst the most loyal fans in football, they're getting a brand new stadium.
It's incredible, too. I mean, to see what they've done, it's a kind of they built it down into, it's kind of what they do with SoFi, right? Isn't SoFi built down? So it's same kind of thing with the new Buffalo Stadium, and the field is heated. So you won't have any issues with ice and stuff. So it could be really quite, but it's open air. I mean, you'd think you might in Buffalo want to put a dome on it.
Yeah.
But
there's a dome on SoFi.
That's true. That's the most LA thing, isn't it?
A real oversight. So do you know why they had to dig SoFi that deep into the ground?
No, why?
The flight path. They couldn't have anything over, I think, 50 feet or 75 feet or so.
That's great knowledge. I didn't know that.
And that's why also the Forum is built, is dug out as well.
Oh, no kidding.
Like
that's
when you
really
walk into the Forum, you're at the promenade level, and you can go down 75 feet or so.
I have to say, I've not been to SoFi.
Oh, you haven't been there yet?
No, I see it on TV. It looks so cool.
It literally, have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
Sure.
Okay. When you go to the Grand Canyon, you see it for the first time, you're speechless. You can't believe you're looking at something that big that nature has produced. Okay. This is not nature that has done SoFi, but it's that big where you look at it and you can't believe that it looks fake. You can't believe that there are that many seats that in that big of an arena that's so beautifully built. And it was built, they could have gone cheaper on the material to build this thing, but they didn't want to. They wanted to go top shelf, and it's built for 175 years. It's supposed to last for 175 years. And most stadiums that are built are built for 40 or 50 years.
It's just so visually spectacular. And then they hear you say that in person, it's even more visually spectacular.
It's unbelievable. And while I was taking a tour, this is a kind of an odd story. I'm taking a tour of SoFi Stadium about a month before it opened up. And I said to a buddy of mine, a guy named Robbie Fox, I said, hey, you want to go take a look at SoFi Stadium? He goes, oh, I'd love to. And so we're driving over there. I said, hey, they're not going to let you in, just as you have to be, the producer on our radio show. He goes, okay, all right, that's fine. And the moment he got there, it was like, hey, they said, so what do you do? He goes, oh, I'm a writer in Hollywood. I'm like, no. No, you've got to tell everybody you work here.
Didn't you see The Great Escape? We all have stories, and we've established what the stories and our backstories are.
And so there was about 12 people on our tour, and I said to one of the young ladies there, I said, hey, in about 10 minutes, loud enough so my buddy could hear. Tell your friend that your favorite movie is I Married an Axe Murderer, because my buddy wrote that.
Oh, wow.
And so about 20 minutes later, she's like talking. She goes, yeah. She goes, I love that movie. I Married an Axe Murderer. And he goes, oh, I work at KFI. I've seen that.
That's great. I've never heard that story. That's terrific.
It really is great. So I'm taking a tour of SoFi Stadium, and there's a huge double suite. It's almost like it's probably 100 feet long by 50 feet wide. There's seats in there for probably 100 people. There is a big bar. There's a kitchen. There's couches. There's private bathrooms. And I looked to see who sponsored that thing. And it's sponsored by Michelob. And I went, what? They got Michelob to buy a suite? Nobody drinks Michelob anymore. This is 5 years ago.
Sure.
Nobody drinks Michelob. Michelob was a beer that when I was growing up, my parents drank.
Sure.
You know, I remember the old slogan, weekends were made for Michelob.
Sure.
That was how old it is. So cut to 5 years later, after I saw that and I said that about Michelob, it's the number one beer in the United States.
What?
Michelob is the number one beer in the United States right now.
It's not Lowenbrow?
It's not Lowenbrow. It's Michelob. Michelob Ultra or Michelob Light, something Michelob is the number one beer. It just took over, I don't know, whoever was second.
Yeah.
But it's huge. And I think the younger generation is discovering Michelob.
I know there's Michelob Light and Michelob.
And they have Michelob Ultra, and then they have an Amber. And that's anytime a beer revives itself, that's a touchdown for me.
No, you're right. It's
great.
It's so weird how they do come and go.
Yeah, they do. And we've all had beers in the past, like Rolling Rock out of Cleveland, Ohio. I don't know if it still exists. Schlitz, remember Schlitz?
Oh, sure.
They all come and go, but man, that Michelob, I don't know who, and obviously it's a public relations deal that sent that out because Michelob was dying. And they've turned it around where it's the number one beer in the United States.
I don't see many ads for it, though. I see ads for, Corona.
I'm with you.
For,
Tecate and all that. Yeah, I'm with you. But I read an article, and I'm going to have to confirm this, but I read that it's the number one beer.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is. Look, if I were to give you 100 guesses for the number one beer, you would never say
I would have lost a lot.
Yeah.
I would have lost
a
lot. Yeah.
I mean, I could even give you a 6-pack of Michelob. You go, put that aside. I'm guessing which the biggest beer it is.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
So people doubted me. I'm getting a lot of email, a lot of text. Michelob is not the number one beer in the United States. So let's go to the I guess the arbiter of who's number one and who's not, the Today Show. The Today Show. They decide who is number one and who is number two.
Okay.
And I think it's Michelob.
All right, guess what? A new king of beers is in town, and it is still owned by St. Louis-based Anheuser-Busch. Michelob Ultra is a light beer, and it has officially claimed the title of America's number one beer.
That's on the Today Show. They are the show of record.
Yeah, they're bound by certain journalistic standards.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if they say it's number one, it's number one.
It launched a while ago, like 20 years ago, but the beer is...
Oh, they ballparked that, like 20 years ago.
Launched like 20
soft
years
launch
ago.
20 years ago. Yeah.
Included.
But they changed the logo. It used to read Michelob, and now if you look at a can, it reads Heineken. No, it reads Ultra. You can't even see where it says
the
Michelob.
Michelob's super tiny and the Ultra's super big.
Yeah, but it's number one beer.
In the official beer sponsors and major sporting events, including the FIFA Cup 2026. Now, this comes as fewer Americans are actually consuming alcohol amid some health concerns. But I know
Not
a lot
here.
of people...
We really are falling behind again as a country in that area. We have to pick up our alcohol consumption.
So this woman on the Today Show is explaining what she knows about beer, and then the weather guy comes in and mansplains it for her.
I see. Okay.
Yeah. He cleans it up for her.
Okay.
But I know a lot of people who drink Michelob Ultra these days. But
do you know anybody that drinks Michelob Ultra? I don't,
but I mean, that doesn't say anything.
Right. Doesn't say anything.
My friends
at all.
are drinking vodka.
Yeah, straight vodka.
They've moved on. They've evolved beyond Michelob Ultra.
Bellio, let's get Michelob to sponsor this show. the Michelob Theater or the Michelob Studio.
All right, let me get him on
Get
the
on
line.
that, will you? Get on the 5th floor and go take care of that.
All right, I didn't get him on the line.
Wait, you're already on with Michelob?
Shh, I'm on the phone with him.
Hello.
Yeah, Tim Conway Jr.
Is Mr. Michelob there?
Excellent.
They're on?
Excellent. All right, I'll have him sign the contract. Thank you, Michelob. It's done.
All right. All right, from the Michelob Studios in Burbank, it's the Conway Show with
Sounds
Mark
like she
Thompson.
should be calling you JP. Hey, got it for you, JP.
CJ.
We're all done. We're all done.
Budweiser.
All right, so she's explaining that she doesn't know anybody that drinks Michelob, and he comes in over the top. He's like, honey, move aside. Let me tell you what's going on with Michelob.
To be the king of beers. But
Yeah, it's all in the same umbrella, but you got Mick Ultra, you got Busch Lights. Those
Yeah.
are two.
Yeah.
Those are the two clear favorites here right now. Mick Ultra, it was like the first low carb beer. That's kind of how it's been marketed.
yeah, I know. And a lot of it seems like athletes like it.
Yeah, it's had a lot of golf tournaments. So
Yeah, there he goes. He explained it to everybody.
Your low cal, your low cal, your Michelob in your
But that snuck up on everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, you would think that you would know the beer that's sneaking up on everybody to become number one.
I love that she says a lot of athletes like it. What they've done is quite cleverly put a lot of athletes in their commercials. I was
There it
watching
is,
during the break.
SoFi. That's it.
Yeah. SoFi is dominated by Michelob. I think that's the only light beer that they sell is Michelob. But yeah, as of September 2025, that's this month of this year, number one beer in America is Michelob Ultra, having recently dethroned the second place beer. And for 52 weeks ending September 14th, 2025, according to the parent company of Anheuser-Busch and InBev, it's the number one beer in America. So start
It's like
drinking.
I'm like UT. It's like that's the first beer I ever had. 'Cause
Yeah.
it was the 70s, and my dad had them with the gold foil around the
That's
around
right.
the top of the bottle.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was always people camping on the commercials. They're always, weekends were made
Oh, that's right.
for
Weekends were made for
Michelob.
Michelob.
And they always camped. I always brought their own heavy-ass case of beer while they were at camping. But, yeah, it was always, when my grandfather drank Stroh's. And when we went to see him and stayed with him in June, July, and August every year, when he would get home from Ugite, which is a natural gas company he worked for, he would always sit down and have a beer. Because he was a blue-collar worker. His job was to fill 1,000-gallon propane tanks. There was a gas line that came into Sugar Falls, Ohio, and they would load these huge tanks up with 1,000 gallons of propane and then send them out to mobile home parks, and that would be the source of energy for the whole park. And so he worked with Bill Butler and another guy named Clark, another guy, Ed. There was 5 guys that my grandfather worked with his whole life at this company. And while they filled those propane tanks every single day, 1,000 gallons, every one of them, while they were working, smoked cigarettes. Every single guy smoked cigarettes while they were filling 1,000-gallon propane tanks.
Sure. I mean, insanely flammable danger.
Like hanging off the corner of their mouth.
Right.
Yeah.
And nothing ever happened. Could have easily. And if that were to happen, if it were to blow up, the whole town would have gone with it. The town was about 1,200 people, and the whole town would have been destroyed. And they all smoked those cigarettes. So he came home every day, and he'd have a Stroh's. And whoever got him the Stroh's got a Dixie cup full of beer. That was me. So when I was 8 years old, I would sit next to my grandfather, and I would have a small little half Dixie cup of beer and drink with my grandfather at age 8, from 8 on.
And that's a great kind of bonding experience.
Yes. And did that affect my life later on? You bet. I got radically into
Now you can
alcohol.
Only drink a beer out of a Dixie cup?
I can only drink it if I find a grandfather
Oh, wow.
to share it
Yeah.
with. So that's kind of odd around the neighborhood.
It's funny, though, the marketing of these beers is what we remember, right? You
Yeah.
remember weekends are made for Michelob, and
I think I can come up with that slogan too. I think I can play that for you. Let's see here. Let me see. Made
It was,
for Michelob. All right, let's see. Yeah, weekends. Here it is. I got the whole commercial. God almighty, is the internet great. All right, here it is. Michelob. Then. Thursday. Camping. They brought a symphony with them. Yeah, the gold top, you're right, Croge.
Weekends were made for Michelob. Don't forget, remember to pick up some beer.
Weekends were made for Michelob. Boy, man, that brings back a lot of memories. If you're in your 50s or 60s and your dad or grandfather drank beer, you remember that. You remember that slogan.
Wasn't Michelob known as the champagne of beers?
Oh, was it?
Oh.
Was that their thing?
I think that's to get the gals over. You know, it's always the champagne of something. Like
Here,
we drank.
That was Miller High Life.
Oh, was Miller High Life?
Oh,
the champagne of beer.
Yeah, Miller High Life.
Yeah, remember, but Miller High Life was less filling.
No, that was
tastes great.
That was
light beer.
Miller Light.
Bud Light.
No, it wasn't Miller. I thought it was Miller Light.
No, it was.
Or was it Bud Light?
No, it was light. It was just light. I don't remember. It was Miller Light.
Light beer from Miller.
Light beer from Miller. Yeah, tastes
great, less filling.
Tastes great, less filling. And this baseball stadiums used to shout that during Monday Night Football. Half the stadium tastes great, the other half less filling. Oh, what a time to be alive! Now everybody's on their effing phones all the time. Nobody has any connection with anybody else. Nobody. You know, in 20 years, kids will say, "I remember listening to a radio show where they once talked about a beer." You know, that's the only connection they'll have.
Right.
They will not have their
radio show. What's that?
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
We're talking about the beer, Michelob Ultra. And Bellio worked her ass off during the break and put up a poll on Twitter, on X. And it's what beer do you drink? Michelob Ultra, Modelo, Bud Light, and Corona Extra. And so you can go vote there and make your voice heard. You know, you got to vote in this country. If you don't vote, nothing will change.
That's the thing. I mean, we've given you the chance to really register how you feel.
And if you don't, if you don't exercise your right to vote on Twitter polls, then what are you doing?
Yeah.
But everybody, you remembers. Look, if you're over 45, I think you'll remember this. But we were talking about the Lowenbrow song.
Yeah, because it's like Michelob had that weekends were
made for Michelob.
And I remember the Lowenbrow song was, here's to good friends.
Yeah, I found it. Here it is. You ready? Will you sing it for us?
I'm about to have a moment. You said 45. I'm 46, and this is going to be tapping into some old childhood memories.
You'll remember this. Yeah. All right, here we go. The Lowenbrow song with Mark Thompson.
Here's to good friends. Tonight is kind of special. The beer will pour. Must say something more somehow. So tonight, let it be Lowenbrow.
Let it be Lowenbrow. We're telling good friends they're good friends.
Oh, what a song. Yeah. Man, does that bring back memories. That was 1980.
Wow.
And the song that we played before that, the Michelob song, if you missed that, that was 1977. 1977 Michelob. It wasn't Michelob Ultra. It was just
Weekends were made for Michelob.
Weekends were made for Michelob.
Yeah.
But it does bring back memories. We the one thing that all of us had in common, if you're over 40, is that we all saw the same TV shows at the same time and the same commercials.
And the reason the commercials landed is because you couldn't flip past them.
Right.
There was no flip past at that point.
Yeah.
So you're seeing the commercials. We're all experiencing the same cultural thing through commercials.
And at the same time, if you want, if we wanted to watch Happy Days, you had to be home at 8:00 on Tuesday,
right,
and put on ABC. And if you didn't, you missed it. And there was no repeat. They weren't going to play it again. You were out, and you were done, and you couldn't follow the very intricacy of the characters on Happy Days
Right.
for the rest of the year.
That's right.
And then after that, Laverne and Shirley.
Sure.
And then, whatever, $6 Million Man, Brady Bunch, Partridge Family. But I remember at Christmas, I think it was the Tuesday before Christmas, maybe 2 weeks before Christmas, they played Rudolph, and they played, what was the other one? Not the Santa Claus. They played, Frosty the Snowman and Rudolph, and they would play those. Oh, Charlie Brown Christmas.
Charlie Brown Christmas.
Charlie
yeah.
Brown Christmas. Charlie Brown Christmas went on at 8 o'clock on a Tuesday or Wednesday, Thursday, whatever it was, and you did not miss it.
And Grinch, too.
Yes, right, and the Grinch. And you had to be home to look at it. And if you missed it and the kids started talking about the next day in school, you felt like you had the worst parents in the world. Like they didn't care about me. They didn't put the schedule together. I remember when Frosty came on, we all had to be showered or bathed in our pajamas downstairs at 8 o'clock with popcorn and all watch it as a family, and we couldn't wait.
Oh, that's great.
That's
That's
now,
really special.
now you don't have those moments.
Yeah,
because
you're
everything
right.
is on DVD
Fewer.
and DVR and streaming.
They're just different moments.
Because look, if you're streaming a show, you're not and Crozier's also streaming a show, you may not be in the same place of the show, so you can't talk about it.
That's true.
Because you want to ruin it for Crozier or vice versa.
Yeah.
But back then, with Dallas, remember Dallas? I bet you were a big fan.
Sharon's a big
Bellio
fan
was a
of Dallas.
huge
Who shot
Dallas fan.
JR?
Yeah, Who Shot JR? But you had to be home to watch that, and everybody was on the same episode.
Yeah, that's true. You're right. I mean, Tim's right. There was no. Again, this is hard to believe now, but there was no delayed viewing. We dreamt of an ability to record these things so that we didn't have to be home to see them.
At least some of the streamers, can't say all of them, but at least some of the streamers offer you basically a party view option where you invite people to watch it at the same time.
Oh, that's great. That could save it.
Yeah.
For a lot of people. I think that's a terrific idea. I was unaware of that. All right, one more time. I know people love this.
Here's to good friends. Tonight is kind of special. The beer will pour. Must say something more somehow. So tonight, let it be low and brown.
What a time.
What happened to Low and Brown? They're done, though. Huh?
I don't think Low and Brow's, I don't know, maybe they're still around, but I haven't heard them in a long time.
No one's done the jingle for a while, that's for sure.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
So here's the story. My dad back in the maybe in late 60s, early 70s. I think I was 7 or 8 years old. So it could have been 69, 70, somewhere in there. And he was asked to do a charity event in Chicago. We were in Cleveland at the time, and he was asked to do a charity event in Chicago. And they were going to fly him to Chicago. He was going to do, a half hour or 45 minutes of jokes. People can ask him questions about his career, about McHale's Navy, the whole run. And so they fly him to Chicago from Hopkins Airport in Cleveland. Not a private jet, passenger public transport, public airways. They fly him to Chicago. They pick him up. He does his set, does the charity, and he notices that there's a lot of guys who work for the city there. A lot of the city employees there. And back in the 60s and early 70s in Chicago, the mob ran that town, Chicago. I don't know if they still do, but they did then. And my dad met a few of those guys, but it wasn't filled with those guys. There was like 1 or 2 tables of those guys, and the rest of them were, city employees. Probably about 2,000 people there. It was a big deal. And so they thanked my dad for doing the event. And he literally went there at I don't know, he left Cleveland at noon, and he was home the next day by noon. So it's just a one-day event. And he gets back, and we pick him up at the airport. How was the event? Oh, it was great. There's a lot of people there, and it was a really cool event. And they gave me some Tonka toys for you kids. And I said, oh, that's very nice. We're young, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old. So we get back to my grandparents' house, and my dad gives me this box, but it's a Tonka truck. and you could see through the cellophane at the truck, and I opened it up, and in the bottom of it was $50,000 in cash. Stuck in the bottom of that box was $50,000 in cash. And I said to my dad, I said, hey, there's money in this box. And he says, well, what do you mean money? And I showed him, and there was $50,000 in cash. And my dad turned white as a ghost. Pretty white guy anyway, but even whiter. And he got on the phone, and he called the guys that did the event, and he said, hey, somebody put $50,000, or maybe is missing $50,000, and they put it in this Tonka truck case, and I don't want someone to come after me because they switch boxes. It was a mob box that should have gone to this guy. Now I have it. And the guy said, no. That's just us saying thank you for doing the event. That's all yours. And my dad said, okay, I'd like to fly back to Cleveland or to Chicago on my own dime and give you this money back. And the guy says, well, no, that's your appearance fee. He said, no. I told you I'll do the event for free. I'm going to fly back. I'll meet you at the airport, and I'm going to give you this $50,000. He flew back to Chicago, gave him the $50,000, and then flew back to Cleveland.
Did he check the bag with the $50,000?
I don't know. But I think he, I don't know about the details, but I know he gave the money back, and he flew back to Cleveland. And I said, and even at a young age, I said, wow, what happened here? Why'd you do that?
Dad.
Yeah. And then it's $50,000, that's a lot of money. Look, in retrospect, I would have never told my dad. He'd given me the money. I should have socked it away.
Hey, Dad, where'd this $20,000 from your thing come from?
Yeah, no, that's right. Your kid's new car is extraordinary, and he's only 11.
The biggest mistake of my life is telling my dad that I had that cash. And he returned the money, and I said, what had happened? And like years later, he explained it to me. He said, look, you were too young for me to explain it to you, but that's how you become indebted to the mob. You do them a favor, they pay you $50,000. Now you got to do them another one. Then they pay you $100,000. Now you got to do another one. They pay, and that's all of a sudden you're in their life, and you're flying around doing all kinds of events for these guys. And he goes, I don't want to do that. I don't want to be that guy. Ultimately, he should have gone that route.
It sounds to me like you got a pretty good gig going.
Isn't that the Sinatra route?
On,
sure.
Right.
And look what happened to Sinatra. Look how much money Sinatra made.
$50,000, $100,000, $150,000.
That's right.
We're going the right way. I don't know what the problem is.
But I do remember this. I remember very distinctly my dad's doing a video late in life called Dorf on Fishing. And we're out at Lake Castaic, and the sun's going down. They can't get the shot. And my dad's cold, and he's wet. And I said to him, should have kept that $50,000. Huh? And you never really hear my dad swear, but I heard him F you,
That is great. That's a great story. And I must say,
$50,000 back in 1969. What is that worth now? $400,000?
Who can imagine
yes.
An amount?
Huge.
And I'm not sure, even with the, in retrospect, I'm sorry. I get it speaks to his purity of heart and understanding things, but I don't know, man.
He should have gone that route.
I might have, yeah.
$50,000 from 1969 would be roughly $430,000 today.
Wow. How about that? That Tonka truck.
That's real.
That's a real Tonka truck.
Yeah, that's
a real truck.
money.
Yeah. I knew there was something odd about it because it was a Tonka truck with a cellophane wrap around it, and then there was sort of like a big back end of it that I thought maybe there was another, attachment to the truck. Inside there,
like the extension that
right,
yeah, like
there was nothing in there. Like, there's nothing going on in there. Oh, that's where the $50,000 was in that one. And thank God that I got it because they gave, he gave enough of these Tonka trucks for me and my brothers and my sister. And if my brothers got that $50,000, you would have. Mum was the word, man. They would have never said anything. My dad would have been all mobbed up for the rest of his life. That's
the movie, right? The kid takes the money. You didn't take it, but your kid took it, and now you're in debt to the mob. That's the movie.
Now he's all mobbed up.
Yeah, exactly.
He's 9 years old, smoking a cigar.
Right.
And the reason why he didn't want to do it is because there was a big, huge mob war going on between Cleveland and Chicago. And my dad lived in Cleveland.
Sure.
So he didn't want the Cleveland mob pissed at him that he's all mobbed up with the Chicago guys. You know, because that's where you really run into trouble. You know, when you live in a town and you're mobbed up with another town, that's when they come by and say, hey, what's going on with you? You know? So he knew it. My dad knew what was going on.
It sounds like it was the right move, actually.
Yeah, turns out it probably was. But I don't know. Should have kept the dough. Should have kept the dough and took money from the Cleveland mob, too.
I see.
You know?
Well, I think that doesn't end well.
Ask Sinatra how it ends. We're live on KFI AM 640.